Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, looked at the clock, and the number 3:00 a.m. appeared strangely familiar? No noise, no nightmares, just awake as if something invisible had just touched your mind. And then you lie there, in the dark, unable to go back to sleep. Have you ever wondered, why is it exactly 3:00 a.m.? Why me? The first thing to know is, you are not alone. Millions of people, especially those in middle age and older, experience the same phenomenon, and it is not simply a disturbed sleep pattern or aging. Waking up at that time can be a sign that your body and mind are trying to tell you something, a signal, not a bug. 3:00 is what many call soul time, a time when the boundary between the outside world and the inside world becomes thinner. During this time, the physical, biological, and spiritual elements subtly intersect. The body enters its deepest state of rest. The mind shifts away from the noise of life, and unresolved emotions begin to surface. Waking up at this time can be the result of a shift in your biochemistry, but it can also be an invitation to listen, to feel, and to reconnect with yourself. This is not a moment to fight waking up, but a moment to observe what is really happening inside you. We will delve into the 5 main reasons why many people, especially in middle age and beyond, regularly wake up at 3 a.m. But first, let's start with a simple truth. You may not be waking up because you can't sleep, but because there is a deep part of you that needs to be heard. One of the most common and obvious reasons why many people wake up at 3 a.m. is a natural drop in melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate your body's sleep-wake cycle. Melatonin was once very active in you, especially when you were young. It was a silent gatekeeper of sleep, helping you fall into a deep state of rest and keeping you there throughout the night. But as you age, the amount of melatonin your body produces gradually decreases. And that means that, while you can still fall asleep easily at night, thanks to the fatigue of a long day, by 2 or 3 a.m., as your melatonin levels drop, your body begins to gently transition from deep sleep to a state of semi-consciousness. And even the slightest stimulus, a dim light from a window, a slight noise from afar, or even too much silence, can cause you to wake up completely. This is not a system error, this is physiology doing its job. It's just that the mechanism has changed over the years. Melatonin doesn't disappear, it just quietly retreats. And when you understand that, you can start adjusting your life to support your body, instead of just feeling helpless because you're woken up too early. Take Harold, 72, who used to sleep like a baby, and now regularly wakes up at 3:50. No anxiety, no nightmares, just a sense that it's time to get up. Once Harold learned that the change in melatonin was natural, he stopped blaming himself. Instead, he turned off all electronics before bed, made sure his room was completely dark, and took a short walk every afternoon to help his circadian rhythm. The result? Even though he still woke up at 3 a.m. sometimes, Harold no longer felt stressed about it. He understood that this was part of the journey, not a sign of decline, but a reminder to take better care of himself. Awareness does not prevent us from changing, but it allows us to step into that change with initiative, grace, and dignity. If you used to be able to sleep straight from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., now waking up at 3 a.m. is a regular occurrence, almost on schedule. This doesn't mean you have insomnia or that there's something wrong with your mind. In fact, this is a biological phenomenon that is very typical of older people. A shift in the circadian rhythm, also known as advanced sleep phase. As we age, our biological clock, the sophisticated machine deep in the brain responsible for regulating sleep, body temperature, and hormones, starts to run earlier. The body feels sleepy earlier in the evening and wakes up earlier in the morning, whether you want it to or not. This explains why you can fall asleep as early as 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and then wake up wide awake at 3 a.m. as if you had had enough sleep. This shift is not a sign of deterioration, but rather a natural way for the body to reset its rhythm to match its internal changes. But problems arise when this new circadian rhythm no longer matches your social schedule, family routine, or personal needs. You may still want to sleep in, but your body says, "It's morning." Consider the story of Charles, 68, who has been retired for 2 years. Since retiring, he has been eating dinner early, socializing less in the evening, and going to bed at 9 without realizing it. And then at exactly 3 a.m., he wakes up fully alert. He initially thought he had a sleep disorder, but after learning about the advanced sleep phase, he began to make adjustments. Reading with brighter lights in the evening, calling his daughter before bed and delaying bedtime by half an hour each week. After just a few weeks, Charles started sleeping until closer to 5 a.m., not because he forces himself, but because he understands that the body clock is something that can be worked with, not controlled. The shift in sleep doesn't make you worse. It just invites you into a new rhythm. When you're in tune with your rhythm, your sleep is not only deeper but lighter. When you're young, you can sleep through anything, light, noise, even a bad pillow. But as you get older, sleep is no longer a simple off state. The body begins to become more sensitive, more reactive, especially at night, when everything outside is quiet and it's just you and yourself. One of the real and common reasons why older people wake up at 3 a.m. is due to small but persistent manifestations of silent health problems. It doesn't have to be a severe pain or a serious illness, but sometimes it's just a numb feeling in the shoulder, a slight muscle spasm in the calf, or simply a feeling of fullness after dinner. These, when combined with deep sleep, are enough to pull you out of a state of rest and into wakefulness. We can't ignore the common factor, nocturia. As we age, our bladder's ability to hold water decreases, and the urge to urinate becomes more pronounced during the night. Many people get up once or twice just to use the bathroom, and even if it's only for a few minutes, your body has left deep sleep, and sometimes it doesn't come back. A typical example is Eleanor, 76, who used to think of herself as a light sleeper, but recently she found herself waking up at 3:30 a.m. almost every day. After a routine checkup, her doctor discovered that a blood pressure medication she was taking had a side effect that caused her to urinate more at night. With just a small change in the time she took the medication, switching from evening to morning, and some adjustments like reducing her fluid intake before bed, she was able to sleep more uninterrupted. Those 3 a.m. wake-ups aren't necessarily a sign of a disorder. They could be your body's way of telling you, I need attention. Maybe your joints need to be moved more gently. Your stomach needs to rest earlier. Or maybe an old routine is no longer working with your new circadian rhythm. Observe instead of worry. Adjust instead of resist. Because sleep, like health, is not a destination. It's a process of constant listening. And when you listen, your body will know how to respond. Sometimes, sleep changes are not due to obvious biological or medical reasons, but to seemingly harmless things. Daily routines, the things you do over and over again without thinking about them. Dinner time, exercise intensity, evening light, wind down routines are all reshaping your body clock bit by bit. When you retire, many people start to slow down, and that's perfectly natural. But with that slowing comes a lack of the wake-up cues your body once relied on. No more meetings, no more rush hours, no more after-work socializing. Without the external rhythms, your body begins to establish a new one, often earlier. You eat dinner earlier, maybe at 5 p.m., because you no longer have to wait for someone to get off work. You sit more, maybe because you don't have to move around as much. And you tend to fall asleep earlier, maybe 8 or 9 p.m. when you're not quite ready to call it a day. The result: when your body thinks you've had enough sleep, it wakes you up at 3 a.m. sharp. Walter, 74, is a prime example. When he was working, he was always busy until the evening. But since retiring, his days have become too quiet. He'd eat dinner early, watch the evening news in his armchair, fall asleep at 8 p.m. and wake up at 3 a.m., feeling confused. It wasn't until he started keeping a daily log that he realized he wasn't suffering from insomnia. He was just out of sync. The solution doesn't have to be a total lifestyle change. Sometimes it's just a few small tweaks. Take a walk after dinner, read in brighter light, avoid lying down on the couch too early, or make it a habit to talk to someone every night. Small signals like these help bring your circadian rhythm back closer to your preferred schedule. Your body is always learning from you. If you return to silence too early, it will understand that it is time to rest. But if you actively create the right signals, your body will relearn how to sleep the way you choose. Not all 3 a.m. wake-ups are due to hormones, habits, or physical cues. Sometimes the cause is deeper, in your own mind. And it's something that few people talk about, but it's one of the deepest reasons why you open your eyes in the middle of the night. Not because of sound, not because of pain, but because there's a part of you calling you to wake up and listen. In adulthood and beyond, when life begins to slow down, the mind has more space to look back. Things that used to be overwhelmed by work, responsibilities, or the hustle and bustle begin to emerge more clearly at night, when no one is bothering you, when there are no sounds outside. It could be an unnamed nostalgia, an unspoken regret, a long-ago memory that suddenly returns. 3 a.m., in absolute silence, is the time when the inner self begins to work. It's not noisy. It doesn't cause panic. It gently pulls you back to what you've been hiding for so long. And if you don't understand it, you might mistake it for insomnia. But if you listen carefully enough, you'll realize this is an opportunity for healing. Gloria, 80, is a strong woman who lives alone after her husband passed away. During the day, she tends her garden, calls her grandchildren, watches her favorite shows, but every morning at 3 a.m., she wakes up. No pain, no specific worries, just a deep, gentle alertness, as if someone is whispering her name. And in that silence, images of her late husband return, not to hurt her, but to remind her. When she understood that this was not a disorder, but a need to reconnect with her inner self, Gloria began to write in a journal every morning, a few brief lines about her feelings, things left unsaid, or just the question, what am I feeling right now? She also started listening to soft music before bed, writing little cards to loved ones, as a way to nurture the missing connection. And then the time she woke up no longer felt empty. They became gentle rituals, a pause to talk to herself. Some nights she was still awake, but instead of being stressed, she smiled, listened for a few minutes, and then gently went back to sleep. Maybe you too have feelings that you haven't had a chance to express. Those things won't disappear just because you try to ignore them. But if you're brave enough to listen, 3 a.m. can become the most precious time, the time when you no longer forget yourself. Deep sleep comes not only from a well-cared body, but also from a well-heard soul. And if every waking moment is an invitation, then consider it a gift, not a problem. If you've ever felt anxious or confused when you wake up at 3 a.m., hopefully you now see the bigger picture, full of movement, message, and humanity. Each waking moment is not a bug in your body, but a call from your changing hormones, your lifestyle, your health, or your soul that needs to be heard. You are not broken. You are adjusting. You are not weakening. You are growing in new ways. And from today, maybe you will look at 3 a.m. as an old friend, quiet, honest, and always right on time.